The stars were quiet that night, but space was not. A small human patrol ship drifted slowly near the edge of Sector 9. Inside, pilot Jake Morgan stared at the radar screen. He was tired. The mission had been long and boring. No enemies, no action, just silence. "Nothing out here," he muttered, sipping cold coffee. Then, something blinked on the screen. A red dot. Jake sat up straight. The signal was weak, almost gone. It looked like a crash. He tapped a few buttons, and the ship turned toward the signal. "Maybe it's a wreck," he whispered. "Or a trap." He grabbed his helmet and powered up the engines. As the ship got closer, Jake saw floating metal pieces. And fire. A battle had happened here. Fresh, maybe just an hour ago, he saw a broken alien ship spinning slowly. Most of it was destroyed, but one part looked intact. He scanned for life signs. One. Just one. Someone's alive in there. His training told him to report and wait. But his gut said, "Go now." Jake guided his ship closer, locking onto the broken ship's hull. The docking arm connected with a loud click. "Hope this isn't a mistake," he said, stepping into the airlock. Inside the alien ship, it was dark. Lights blinked on and off. Smoke filled the air. Then he heard it. A weak sound. A voice, maybe. He followed the sound, stepping over broken panels and shattered glass. In the corner, pinned under metal beams, was a creature. Tall, with blue-gray skin and sharp eyes. A Krell warrior. They were known for being cold, proud, and dangerous. Jake paused. Should he help? The alien looked at him, bleeding and barely awake. Its voice was soft. Why help me, human?" Jake knelt beside him and started lifting the metal. "Because you're alive," Jake said, "and no one deserves to die alone." The alien grunted in pain as Jake pulled him free. Alarms began to beep. The ship was breaking apart. "Great," Jake muttered. "Hang on, buddy." He dragged the alien back toward his ship, step by step, his arms shaking from the weight. As they reached the airlock, part of the ceiling collapsed behind them. They barely made it through. Jake hit the emergency close button, and the door sealed shut. They were safe. For now. He laid the alien down in the med bay and began first aid. The alien's wounds were deep, but not fatal. As he worked, Jake noticed the alien watching him. Quietly. Carefully. "You could have left me," the alien said. "Yeah," Jake replied, cleaning a wound. "But that's not how we do things." "Humans are strange," the alien whispered. "You'll get used to it." Jake didn't ask the alien's name, didn't care what side he had fought on. To him, it was simple. A life was a life. Hours later, as the alien rested, Jake looked out at the stars. He wondered who attacked the alien ship. Pirates? Mercenaries? Or something worse? His ship had no answers, only silence. Behind him, the alien opened one eye. "You saved my life, human," he said slowly. "I will not forget." Jake turned and gave a tired smile. "Get some rest. We'll figure things out tomorrow." But deep inside, Jake felt something had changed. He didn't know it yet, but this rescue would start a chain of events that would shake the galaxy. And this alien, this Krell warrior, would come back, not as an enemy, but as something else. A friend. Maybe more. The stars were quiet again. But nothing would ever be the same. The return 10 years had passed. Jake Morgan no longer flew starfighters. He no longer wore the uniform of the human defense fleet. He was retired now, living alone in a small outpost on the desert moon of Caldas 3. The war was over. The galaxy was quiet, or so he thought. Jake spent his days fixing old machines, selling parts to traders, and watching the red sun rise and fall. His only company was an old robot named Sparky, who barely worked. Every night Jake looked up at the stars. Sometimes he thought about the alien he saved long ago. The one with blue-gray skin and eyes like fire. He never knew what happened after that day. The alien was taken by a med ship and disappeared from Jake's life. He never even got his name. Wasn't meant to be, Jake would say to himself. But Jake was wrong. Something was coming. Something dark. And it was coming for him that evening. As Jake walked back from the market, he felt it. A presence, not just a feeling, something real. Someone was watching him. He turned. No one. But his instincts, sharp from years of war, told him the truth. He was being hunted. That night his sleep was broken by a noise. A thump, followed by silence. He grabbed his old blaster and moved slowly through his small home. Then he saw it. A shadow. Tall. Still. Standing in the corner. His finger tightened on the trigger. "Don't," a deep voice said. "You won't win." The shadow stepped into the light. Jake's heart stopped. The alien was back. The same one he had saved 10 years ago, except now, he looked different, stronger. Armor covered his body. Glowing symbols ran down his arms. His eyes were sharper than before, and something about him felt dangerous and sad. "You," Jake whispered. "You're alive." The alien nodded. "You saved my life once. Now I've come to repay the debt." Jake lowered his blaster slowly. "What are you talking about? Repay how?" The alien stepped closer. "Your name has been spoken in places humans don't know exist," whispered in the dark. "Marked for death." "Death?" Jake frowned. "By who?" The alien looked out the window. "They call themselves the Void Chain, silent assassins. They move through shadow, across planets, across time. They are hunting you." "Why?" The alien didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because of what you saw. Or maybe what you touched." Jake felt a chill. A memory flashed in his mind. Years ago during the war, he had found something, an old alien artifact buried deep in a destroyed temple. Strange tech, glowing patterns. He had touched it, then backed away. He never spoke of it again. "I barely remember it," Jake said. "I didn't keep it." "It doesn't matter," the alien replied. "They believe it marked you. So now they want me dead?" "No," the alien said, his voice grim. "They want your mind. What you saw, what you know, and they don't care how they take it." Outside, a cold wind rose. The lights flickered. "We need to leave," the alien said. "Tonight." Jake didn't argue. Deep down, he knew something was coming, something worse than war. As they packed, Jake glanced at the alien. "You never told me your name." The alien paused. "Karen Valos, warrior of the Krell. Now, exile." "Why exile?" "Because I refuse to let you die." They boarded. A stolen scout ship hidden in a nearby cave. As the engines hummed to life, Jake looked at the control panel. "Where are we going?" "To find answers," Karen said. "And to stop the ones chasing you." The ship rose into the dark sky, stars rushing closer. But they didn't notice the small black drone that followed from below, watching, listening, reporting. The Void Chain knew where Jake was now. And they were coming. Deep in a secret system. Far, from human space, a figure sat on a throne made of bones and wires. A voice spoke in the shadows. "The human has moved." "Good," the figure replied. "He runs. Let him. The exile protects him. He won't for long. Send the hounds." A dozen dark shapes slipped into the void, like smoke with teeth. On the ship, Jake sat in silence. His hand touched. A small device around his neck, a shard of the artifact he had kept long forgotten. Suddenly it glowed, just for a second, then went dark. Karen saw it, and his eyes widened. "You kept a piece?" I didn't know." "You're not just hunted, Jake. You're connected. To what?" Jake didn't ask. He was afraid of the answer. The stars ahead burned bright. Behind them, darkness followed, but Jake was not alone anymore. And this time, he wasn't just running. He was part of something much bigger, and it had only just begun. The threat space was not silent anymore. Jake Morgan sat inside the small ship as stars slipped past the windows. His eyes were locked on the glowing shard that hung around his neck. It was pulsing now. Soft blue light, beating like a heart. He had carried it for 10 years, forgotten it. Now it was awake. Karen Valo stood near the control panel. The alien warrior didn't speak much. He was focused, watching the radar, scanning for signs of danger. But Jake could feel something was wrong. "It's changing," Jake said, looking at the shard. Karen didn't turn around. "It's responding." To what? To them. Hours passed. The ship drifted into a quiet zone of space. No comm signals, no traffic, no stars, just a black cloud swirling in the distance. Kren slowed the ship. "We're close." "To what?" Jake asked. "To the place where the artifact came from." Jake's heart thumped. He had seen things during the war. Strange ruins. Alien tech no one understood. But this was something else. The shard glowed brighter as they approached. The black cloud opened like a mouth. Inside it, a broken world. The planet had no name. It wasn't on any map. Its surface was cracked and burning like it had been torn apart by something massive. Floating pieces of land drifted slowly in orbit. Lightning flashed across the sky without clouds. Gravity itself felt strange. Kren landed the ship near a dead city. "Stay close," he said, stepping out. The air was thin, cold. The wind carried whispers, like voices trapped in time. They moved through broken towers made of black stone. Alien symbols glowed on the walls. Jake touched one, and his mind jumped. He saw a vision. Millions of years ago, a council of ancient beings, tall with faces of light and shadow. They held the artifact, used it, feared it. Then war, fire, screams. One of them whispered, "Hide it before it consumes." The vision broke. Jake stumbled back. Karen caught him. "You saw them. What were they?" "The first ones," Karen said quietly. "They made the artifact, and they destroyed themselves because of it. So why are people hunting me for it?" "Because they want what the first ones had," Karen said. "Power." Just then, a sound. Not thunder, not wind. Something else. Low growl, then a scream. They turned. Creatures were crawling out of the ruins. Tall, thin, with skin like ash and eyes like empty stars. They moved without sound. Weapons fused into their arms. Void hunters. "Run," Karen said. They sprinted through the ruins. Blaster shots tore through the air. Jake ducked behind a wall as a beam melted stone beside his head. Kren threw a plasma mine and blasted a path forward. They reached the ship, doors sliding open just in time. Inside, Jake panted. "What were those?" "Once people. Now tools," Karen said. "The void chain uses them to find artifacts. They're not alive anymore." Jake looked at his shard. It was glowing red now, and hot. In deep space, aboard a massive dreadnought hidden behind a dying star, the leader of the void chain watched a screen. His face was covered by a mask made of black bone. "The shard is awake," he said. A servant nodded. The human touched the core ruins. He sees the echoes. The leader leaned forward. "He doesn't know what he is. Not yet. But he will." "Should we strike?" "Not yet. Follow. Listen. And when he finds the gate, take him. Back on." The ship? Jake sat in silence. He could still feel the vision. The voices. The fear. "What is the gate?" he asked. Kren looked uneasy. "A myth. Or so we believed." "Tell me." Kren sighed. "The shard is not just a key. It is a map. And the map leads to the gate of memory. What is that? A place where all time meets, past, future, all moments. The first ones built it to protect knowledge, or to hide it. And if the void chain finds it first, they won't just rule this galaxy," Karen said. "They'll rewrite history, make themselves gods." Jake stood up. His hands shook. He had been a soldier, a pilot, a man who just wanted peace. But now, he was something else, chosen by accident, marked by fate, or maybe by the artifact itself. Then we stop them, he said. Karen nodded slowly. We'll need help. Who? Someone who knows the truth. Someone who died and came back. They set course for a forbidden prison station orbiting a dead star. There, in a cell of light and steel, was a being named Zira, half machine, half organic, once an oracle, now a ghost. She had seen the gate once and gone mad. But if anyone could help Jake understand the artifact, it was her. As the ship flew into the dark, the shard pulsed again. This time, not in warning, but in welcome, like it remembered where it came from and who it was waiting for. The escaped stars were red near the prison station. They circled a dying sun, broken and bleeding light. The sky was dim. Space felt thinner here, like something had sucked the life out of it long ago. Jake Morgan stood near the window of the ship, watching as the prison came into view. It wasn't like any station he had seen before. It floated above the dead star, its shape twisting in strange angles, black metal arms stretched in all directions like claws reaching for something unseen. This place was shut down, Jake said. No one goes in, no one gets out. Krenvolos nodded, except her. Zira. Zira had once been called the Whisper of the Core. She was part of a powerful race that could see time in fragments. After touching the gate long ago, her mind shattered. The void chain caught her and locked her here, afraid of what she might reveal. She was half machine now. They tried to erase her memories, but something survived, and Jake needed her, because the shard was growing stronger. As they landed, the ship's systems flickered. Power cut out for 2 seconds, then came back. They don't want us here, Karen said. Great, Jake muttered, grabbing his blaster. Inside the station, it was cold. Lights blinked. Walls were scratched with strange symbols. They passed empty cells, bones, machines fused into bodies. Whispers echoed, though no one spoke. What happened here? Jake asked. Experiments, Karen said. They tried to copy what she saw. Jake shivered. Then they reached the last door. A glass wall stood between them and the prisoner. Inside sat Zira. She looked human. Almost. Her skin was pale, marked with metal lines. Wires ran from her head into the walls. Her eyes were black mirrors, but tears ran down her cheeks. She looked up and smiled. You brought it, she whispered. Brought what? Jake asked. Her eyes locked on the shard around his neck. The heart of memory. Suddenly alarms blared. Red. Lights flashed. The station shook. We've been followed, Karen growled. On the cameras, dark ships appeared outside. The void chain had arrived. It's a trap, Jake said. No, Zira spoke, calm in the storm. It's a test. She raised her hand. The glass wall vanished, the wires disconnected. She stood up. For the first time in years, she was free. Zira walked toward Jake. You don't understand yet, but you will. Understand what? You're not holding the shard, she said softly. The shard is holding you. Before Jake could speak, the door behind them exploded. Black armored soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. Karen reacted first, throwing a flash bomb. Light filled the hallway. Then chaos. Zira moved like a ghost, touching the walls. The station obeyed her. Doors closed. Gravity flipped. One soldier was pulled into the ceiling. Karen fought with precision, his blade glowing. Jake fired, hitting one, then another. But there were too many. They were being pushed. Back, Zira grabbed Jake's arm. Follow me. They ran through twisting halls. Zira led them to a deep core chamber. Inside it was a machine, a gateway of rings and wires, humming with forgotten energy. What is this? Jake asked out of breath. A memory bridge, Zira said. Not the gate, but close. Will it get us out? No, she said. It will take us in. In where? Inside the shard. The door burst open behind them. A voice echoed. The Void Chain's commander stepped forward. Tall, cloaked, face hidden, he raised his hand. "Give it to me, human." "Why?" Jake shouted. "What is it really?" "A seed," the commander said. "Planted by the first ones, meant to grow in a chosen mind. Yours." Jake hesitated. Then Karen stepped in front of him. "You'll have to go through us." "Gladly," the commander said. Zira didn't wait. She touched the machine. It activated. Energy pulsed. A beam of light hit Jake's chest. He screamed, not in pain, but like something inside him opened. Time bent. Space folded. Jake saw everything at once. Wars, stars being born. The first ones building the gate, hiding their knowledge in pieces, scattering them. He saw himself. Older, stronger, leading a war no one remembered yet. Then darkness. When he woke up, he was back on the ship. Zira was beside him. Karen was flying fast. "We barely made it," Karen said. "The station's gone." "You passed the test," Zira whispered. "What was it?" "You saw part of your future and your role." Jake sat up. The shard was dark again, but he felt different. Something had changed inside him. He wasn't just a man running from death. He was connected to something ancient. And the war wasn't coming. It had already begun. The hidden weapon deep space. Cold, silent, endless. Jake Morgan sat in the dark of the ship's cabin. The stars outside drifted slowly. But inside his mind, everything was spinning. Ever since Zira used the memory bridge, something inside him had changed. He saw images in his dreams. Visions of war, ruins, burning skies, a shadowed figure standing at the center of it all. And sometimes, the shadow looked like him. Zira watched him from the other side of the room. Her eyes, dark like mirrors, reflected more than light. They reflected truth. "You're remembering things that haven't happened yet," she said softly. "How is that possible?" Jake asked. "Because time is broken," she replied, "and you are standing on one of its cracks." Kren entered holding a datapad. "I found something, in the ancient archive buried under the Calyx moons. A map." "A map to what?" Jake asked. "To the hidden weapon," Kren said. "The one the Void Chain wants." Jake's hands tightened. "Then we find it first." They jumped into hyperspace. The shard, still around Jake's neck, began to glow again. Not blue this time, but white. Cold white. Zira touched it. "It's guiding you," she said. "You're its last chance." They arrived in orbit around a forgotten world. Velthari, once a thriving planet of scholars and thinkers. Now it was ruins. The surface was blackened, cracked like old glass. Giant holes gaped in the land where cities once stood. Kren landed, the ship near an old temple half buried in ash. "This place died thousands of years ago," he said. "Not died," Zira whispered. "Erased." They stepped inside. The temple was silent but alive. Faint lights pulsed in the walls, responding to Jake's presence. As they moved deeper, the walls began to show images. Not painted, alive, like memories made of light. They saw, the first ones building something, a massive structure buried in the planet's core. A weapon, but not one of destruction. It was a key to open minds, to unlock the true power of memory and time. And Jake was the only one who could use it. As they reached the final chamber, the ground trembled. A massive platform rose from the floor. On it, a sphere floated, glowing, humming, calling. The shard around Jake's neck pulled toward it, like metal to a magnet. "This is it," Zira said. "The source," Karen added. Jake stepped forward, but as he did, a voice echoed, "You're too late." From the shadows, the Void Chain appeared. A dozen soldiers, and behind them, the masked commander. His black bone mask cracked as he smiled. "You found it for me," he said. "How kind." Karen drew his weapon. Zira raised her hand. The room began to hum with energy. But the commander lifted a device and pressed it. Suddenly, pain hit Jake's head like lightning. He fell to his knees, The shard around his neck burned. "You're connected to it," the commander said. "But we made sure to prepare for that. Every time you've touched the artifact, we've been learning." "Why?" Jake gasped. "Because you're not the weapon," the commander said. "You're the trigger." Karen charged first. The chamber exploded into battle. Blades, blasts, energy pulses. Zira hacked the chamber walls, forcing the temple to fight with them, doors closing, spikes rising from the floor, light turning into burning shields. But the commander reached Jake. "You still don't get it," he hissed. "You're not human anymore." He grabbed Jake's head. Visions poured in. Jake saw his own birth, then another version, born in a lab. He saw memories, planted ones. He saw the face of a scientist, and that scientist was Zira. The fight stopped. Jake stared at her. "You knew." Zira's face was blank. "You were never meant to be part of this war. We created you to end it. You lied to me." "I protected you," she said. "Because now you have a choice." Jake turned to the sphere. "Destroy it, or use it," Zira said. "But if you use it," Karen warned, "you'll stop being Jake Morgan. The weapon will open your mind. All timelines, all pain, all knowledge, forever." Jake looked at the enemy commander who was ready to strike again. He looked at Zira, the one who created him. He looked at Karen, who chose to stand by him even after the truth. Then he made a decision. He touched the sphere. The shard shattered. In light, energy rushed into him. Cold, bright, endless. The chamber exploded with force. The void soldiers were thrown back. The commander screamed and vanished. Jake rose into the air, eyes glowing white. He saw everything. Every war. Every lie. Every hidden truth. And he made a choice. The weapon wasn't meant to destroy. It was meant to lock away the knowledge forever. In one mind. His mind. He let it happen, and the sphere sealed itself inside him. The light faded. Jake collapsed. When he woke up, the chamber was quiet. Zira was gone. The sphere was gone. Karen knelt beside him. "You did it." "No," Jake whispered. "I became it." The final battle, Earth, blue, fragile, unaware. People walked the streets, drank coffee, played with their children. They looked up at the stars and saw only beauty, not the war building just beyond their skies. They didn't know Jake Morgan had returned, but not as the man who left. Not anymore. Jake stood in orbit, above Earth, on the deck of the Eden Blade. An Allied ship built in secret for one final war. Kren stood beside him, silent as always. Zira was gone, or perhaps still watching from somewhere unseen. Her betrayal still burned in Jake's chest, but her final message echoed in his mind. "You hold the weapon now, but the real battle is in here." Because Jake wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a container of infinite knowledge, timelines, ancient tech, future wars, and every second it tried to break him, but he couldn't break. Not now. "How long until they arrive?" Jake asked. "Minutes," Kren replied. "They're coming through the quantum folds." "How many?" "All of them." The Void Chains fleet ripped through the sky like knives through fabric. They didn't want peace. They wanted control, and Earth was their final target. From the bridge, Jake watched as giant black ships poured into orbit. Massive, alive-looking, vessels that pulsed like beating hearts. They began launching pods, thousands of them, aimed at cities around the world. "We can't stop all of them," the human admiral said. "We'll lose millions." "No," Jake said, stepping forward. "We won't." He closed his eyes, and the weapon inside him opened. Instantly, Jake saw the battlefield from above, not just in space, but in thought. He felt the void chains patterns, their ship paths, their algorithms. He felt their commander's mind brushing his, searching for him. Jake moved faster. He sent silent messages to Allied ships before they could even speak. He rerouted drones with a single blink, and he bent the orbital grid with just a thought. Sky above Earth turned into fire, but it wasn't just war, it was art. Jake painted the battlefield with motion, with light, with strategy only possible through a mind connected to time itself. But it came at a cost. His nose bled, his vision blurred, his thoughts splintered. He heard voices. Past, future, none of them his. "You're breaking," Kren warned, through the comm. "Not yet," Jake whispered. "I still have one move." On the Void command ship, the masked leader of the chain stood still, his eyes turned to the stars. "He's here," he said. "Then end him." One of his officers replied. "No," the leader said. "He's become the gate." They launched the final weapon, a dark spike, longer than any ship, aimed at the heart of the Earth, a memory bomb. If it hit, it would erase all human knowledge in seconds, history, language, science. Earth would forget itself, forever. "Jake," Kren said. "I see it," Jake replied. But he was slipping. His body shook. His thoughts looped. "You are not Jake. You are code. You are the Shard reborn." "No," he growled. "I am human." He stepped into the core of the Eden blade, into the interface chamber. "What are you doing?" the Admiral asked. "Connecting," Jake said. "You won't survive," Karen warned. "Then I die as a man." Jake plugged into the ship's mind, not with wires, with thought. His memories became circuits. His pain became fuel. He took control of every satellite, every defense grid, every drone in Earth's orbit. He became the brain of the battlefield, and he launched everything. The Void Chain's final weapon raced toward Earth. Jake's counterstrike met it halfway. The sky cracked. The spike shattered into a billion burning pieces, and the Void Chain's command ship, gone. With one thought. Silence followed. Then, cheers. On every channel, humans cried out in joy. They were alive. The planet was safe. But inside the Eden blade, Jake collapsed. In the medbay, Karen sat beside his bed. Doctors worked, but Jake wasn't waking up. His mind was too full, too stretched, like a book with 1,000,000 pages open at once. Then Zira's voice echoed from a small device on the table. "You can't save a world without giving up something." 3 days later, Jake opened his eyes. Karen leaned in. "You're back?" "I think so," Jake whispered. "Do you remember anything?" Jake looked out the window at Earth. Children played. Birds flew. Skies were clear. He smiled. "I remember enough." But in a forgotten corner of the galaxy, something stirred. A fragment of the Void Chain had survived, watching, waiting, and whispering one final prophecy. The gate has opened once, and it will open again. The debt is paid. Weeks passed. Earth healed. The skies were calm again, but the people didn't know how close they had come to forgetting who they were. Forever. Only a few knew the truth, and only one man carried the cost. Jake Morgan sat alone in a quiet medical bay at Lunar Base 7. His eyes were open, but his mind drifted between worlds, between memories and timelines that didn't always belong to him. He had become more than human. But every day he fought to remain just Jake. Karen Valos stood at the window, watching the stars. The war was over, the enemy destroyed, but he didn't feel peace. He felt unfinished. He had once been a proud Krell warrior, cold, logical, born to follow orders, until a human saved him. "You saved my life, human. Now I've returned to repay the debt." He had said those words 10 years ago. He thought they meant protection, a promise to fight by Jake's side. But maybe they meant something more. Maybe the real debt was still unpaid. Down below, the United Human Council held a ceremony. They gave medals. They sang songs. They declared Jake a hero, but Jake didn't attend. He sat on the ship he once commanded, staring at a shard of glass, all that was left of the artifact that changed everything. Zira was still missing. Her signal had gone, silent the day of the final battle. Some believed she died, others believed she fled. But Jake believed She was waiting. One night, Jake woke from sleep, sweating, shaking. He had seen something in his dream. No, not a dream. A warning. A city in flames. Not Earth. Somewhere else. And a voice. "The gate is not closed." He called Kren to the bridge. "It's not over," Jake said. Kren didn't look surprised. "I know. They're coming again," Jake whispered. "Not the void chain, something older, something worse." "The deep mines," Kren said quietly. Jake looked up. "You knew?" "I hoped they were myths. They're not." Zira had left. Clues. Before vanishing, she scattered fragments of knowledge across dead moons, old ruins, and even inside the memories Jake now carried. And those fragments revealed one last truth. The void chain wasn't the true enemy. It was just the first guardian. Behind it was a lock, and beyond the lock was something waiting. Karen paced the room. "If you chase this, you may never come back." "I know." "Then why do it?" Jake held up the shard. "Because I can feel it, and because someone has to." "Not you," Karen said. "Not alone." Jake looked at him. "You already paid your debt." "No," Karen said, stepping forward. "Not yet. You saved my life, human. I followed you through war, across time, into the heart of madness, and I stayed because I believed in you. But the debt is only paid when I make sure you come home." They boarded the Nova Rift, an upgraded scout vessel, equipped with Zira's last designs. Strange tech no one fully understood. Destination: the Forgotten Ark, a black sector beyond explored space. It was there Zira had gone, and it was there the final truth would be revealed. Days turned into weeks. Space became unstable. They crossed through lightless tunnels between dimensions, gravity twisting like paper. Jake's memories bled into reality. He saw alternate versions of himself. A world where he never joined the war. A world where he was the Void Chain commander. A world where he died alone. But through it all, Karen never left his side. Finally, they reached the Ark, a massive ring-shaped structure floating above a collapsed star. The surface was smooth. No doors, no lights until Jake stepped forward. The ring woke. Symbols lit up. The center of the ring opened, a doorway into time itself. Karen readied his weapon. "What's inside?" Jake looked into the swirling light. "I don't know." They stepped through and found her. Zira stood in a chamber of shifting glass surrounded by streams of memory. "I knew you'd come," she said. "What is this place?" Jake asked. "The final vault," Zira said. "This is where the first one stored the truth." Karen frowned. "Truth about what?" "About the origin of time. About the real war that's coming. The deep mines are not enemies." "Then, what are they?" Jake asked. Zira's face darkened. "They're the ones who made all of us." Suddenly the chamber shook. The Ark was activating. Zira looked at Jake. "You must choose. Leave with what you know, or step forward and become what you were designed to be." Jake turned to Karen. "This is it. I'll go with you," Karen said. "No," Jake replied. "This part, I walk alone." Karen's eyes burned, but he nodded. "Then I'll wait right here." Jake stepped into the core. His body glowed. The vault downloaded into his mind. History, species, origin, the future. And then he came back, alive, changed, still human, still Jake, but finally whole. As they left the Ark, it sealed behind them, forever. On the ship, Jake sat beside Karen. "The gate is closed," Jake said. "And the debt?" Jake smiled. "It was never about a debt. It was always about who we chose to become." Karen stood, looked out the window at the stars. "Then let's go home." The ship vanished into the stars. Behind them, the universe held its breath. But, in the hearts of two warriors, one human, one alien, peace had finally begun, not because the war was over, but because they chose to fight not as enemies, but as brothers.